Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Brian Ross, joined for the next 3 hours here by Jim DeSimone in Los Angeles and across town in Los Angeles, Silva Margadician. And Silva and Jim, thanks both for being here. LA has had its own issues with police brutality. We talked earlier, Jim, about the Rodney King case that led to such violence there and so much disappointment. What do you think is the one thing that the judge in in Minnesota should keep an eye on in terms of avoiding that kind of thing, Silva?
That's one of the most difficult questions and one of the most important. The judge needs to understand he's dealing with two huge pressures. The first, of course, being his city that's on edge. Nobody wants to see the city burn down, and no one wants to see discontent in any capacity. He's going to have to really calm down. Very important in his jury instruction and just instructions in general that he states to keep calm and that the facts of this case is what has to lead us forward, not the external pressures that are present.
And Jim, it's often said there is truth and there's the truth of what is presented in court. And they can be two different things. And for casual observers, people not accustomed to how the system works, there can be disappointments, right?
That's what I always tell my clients. There's two things. There's the truth, and then there's what I can prove. And if I can prove it, then we can win the case. But if something is, no matter how deeply they believe it, is unprovable in court, it really doesn't carry a lot of weight. In this instance, I think what you have is the judge really trying to make sure that all of the relevant evidence gets into trial. He's doing that a little bit bending over backwards for the defense in allowing this prior incident involving George Floyd, where they say, yes, George Floyd acted similarly a year ago, but George Floyd is not on trial. If you have prior similar acts of a defendant, then that could be admissible in a criminal trial. So I was a little bit surprised by that ruling. And yet, when you saw the way in which he was conducting the jury selection, I think he was making sure that jurors who were not taking the proceeding seriously or were scared or had such a bias, he was getting them off for cause pretty easily on his own motion, so that he's making sure that those core jurors, and I am really impressed, especially by the first 12 who have been chosen, they all gave very nuanced answers to questions. They all seem to be wanting to decide this case on the facts and the law and not allowing those outside influences to change their decision. So when it comes time to what really matters, jury selection, who's in there, he has run a very good courtroom, and I think that we're going to have a fair trial here.
Right. And Jim, as you point out with jury selection, juror number 15 was the last one seated, not likely to be part of the panel unless somebody else bails out. But one of the issues, and I've talked to civil rights lawyers in Minnesota, is getting past the assumption that the police always tell the truth and that you can depend on the police. This was an issue raised when juror number 15 was being questioned by Eric Nelson, Derek Chauvin's lawyer.
You were asked whether or not the